Welcome to Realm of the Sacred Roots. It's been a little while since I've been with you guys, so I felt obligated to put out this video. I was sitting down thinking about words and words having power and how we can actually make things manifest in our lives. And I wanted to put that phrase or quote that we hear, words have power, together with some examples that I have, real life examples, and we can kind of work through some of that. I believe you only need to have two things in order to make this happen in your life, for the most part. The first thing, I believe you just need to have faith or belief in your own power, in your own self. A lot of people think that power comes like from us solely. A lot of people believe that we have a source that we pull from. I believe there's a source that we can pull that power energy from. And so having faith in your higher power also would be part two. So have power, have faith in your own power, and then have faith or belief in your higher power. So that to me is the key. You need to be able to be confident enough in what you speak and in who you are and standing in that authority, and then also be able to pull from source in order to power that and make it manifest in the physical realm. So for me, that's how I've always done it. And sometimes it's thought, sometimes it's actually speaking. In this video, I want to talk about us actually speaking the words and having something come to pass, having something manifest, having your intentions be brought here into the physical. So that's what's important. So I wanted to tell you guys a couple of stories. Some of them were kind of funny to me. Others, maybe not so much. But I wanted to tell you a couple of stories. Now, some people might say, oh, this is just coincidence. You just said that, and then it just so happened, it just kind of happened that way. But over your life, if this keeps happening, if you keep saying something and it actually manifests or happens, at some point, anybody with any type of logic or sense would say, okay, there might be something to this. So at some point, something snapped inside of me and said, this is not a coincidence that I might say something or think something and then it's happening. Also, with this, you can practice this and actually have it where your intentions are being made manifest and being made manifest faster. So like I said, I discussed this having to do with thoughts. I want to talk about it now having to do with actually speaking words out of your mouth. So let me tell this story. I've probably told these stories before, but let me try to tell these stories in one video so we have it here with the power of the tongue or the power of your mouth and your words speaking. So there was a gentleman that I worked with who, and I'm going to keep these really short, who wasn't very nice to me. And this was years of dealing with his nonsense and years of just dealing with him saying not so nice things about me. And so one day I was talking to a friend of mine and I said, something like to the effect of, something about him getting hit by a bus, or, if he got hit by a bus, I wouldn't care. That's what I said to her. And literally, I don't know, I think it was maybe 4 or 5 days later, let's just say a week later, at the latest, my friend came to me and said, oh my gosh, do you remember so-and-so? And she said the name, and I said, yeah. And she said, well, do you know he got hit by a car right outside the building in the crosswalk? I said, no freaking way. He ended up being okay. He didn't die or anything like that. But, it was only a few days prior to that, me saying out loud with my mouth that it really wouldn't bother me if he got hit by a bus. And sure enough, he ended up getting hit in the crosswalk outside of the building where we worked. So, of course, a lot of this I also believe has to do with people's karma, if you believe in karma, that is. And they say people who do sorcery, people who do witchcraft, they don't necessarily believe in karma, because how could you? But you know, whatever you may believe, but I think he also had it coming to him. So I think sometimes people work against themselves, where you almost don't have to do anything for it. You might give it a little push, but they already had it coming because of their horrible deeds that they've done to others. You cannot continue to put negative out into the universe and expect to get good coming to you. It doesn't work that way. It just doesn't. It is the cause and effect idea, and that's just how the law goes. So that would be my first example, saying something out loud, and then literally like I said, it happens. And you can practice things like this. It can be out in the positive as well. Of course, my examples, a couple of them, most of them are, let's see, are more on the negative side, but I'll tell you a positive one here in a minute. So my fiance, prior to us getting married, we lived together, and this was actually before we even were engaged. We lived together, but that at night, as we went to bed or when we went to bed, I would whisper things into his ear, but it would also be out into the ether. It would also go out into this is spell work. I mean, even speaking is considered spell work. So that's what I would do. And I would speak to him at night, and I would talk to him in his ear. I'd whisper into his ear. And sometimes he may have heard me. Sometimes he was out sleeping. It really didn't matter to me, because he knew who I am and what I am. And either way, he was already, I think, taken with me at the time. But in order to, I felt, secure what I had, that is what I felt like I should do. And if you're not doing that with the person that you're with, something is not right. I would always ensure, if you want to be with that person, always ensure that you are captivating, not just with what you do and how you look and whatever, but the words you speak into their lives as well. You have that power. So speak it into the person's life that you're with. And I completely did that. And he knows I did that, afterwards, of course. We're married now, but, so that would be a positive, on speaking words and speaking it out into the atmosphere. Don't forget, you have a team that works on your behalf. You have your guardians, you have your protectors, and you have your guides. You have your ancestors who are working on your behalf, and you have friends and others that have passed over. I believe that all of these things are working on your behalf. So don't forget. So speak out your intentions into the atmosphere and into that person that you are wanting to have an effect on. So that would be a positive one. There was another one when I was in the military, and there was a girl who wasn't too nice to me, and at the time I was dating someone, and she thought she'd be slippery and kind of sneak in there, and so it was really a little nasty. And I was younger at the time, and kind of newer at my powers, but I was also practicing this and speaking this, and I did out loud. I wish that she basically, something would happen to her, that she'd kind of disappear or whatever. Well, sure enough, one day I didn't see her anymore, and I didn't know what happened. And so I asked around, and I said, "What happened to old girl? Like, where did she go? Da 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 da." And they said, "Oh, I was in the military, I was in the Navy." So they said, "Oh, they had to fly her off the ship." And this is when we were overseas already in another port. They had to fly her off the ship, and no one knew what happened. It was quite a few months later, 5 or 6 months later, we were back out to sea. They flew her back out, and I saw her, and she didn't know that I knew, how I felt about her doing her underhanded thing with the guy I was dating at the time. So I asked her, "What happened to you? Where did you end up going?" And she said, "Oh, long story short, she ended up having some something going on or wrong with her insides, her female parts, and they had to like scrape everything out basically. Uh, which would have, at the time we were really young, so that would have obviously affected her having children for the rest of her life. Let me stop at this point and say, if you don't really mean the things that you say, or you're just angry at the time and you blurt something out, remember, everything has a consequence. Like I said, everything, there's a penalty or a payment for everything. So think wisely about the things that, a lot of the things I'm mentioning was when I was a lot younger. So remember that some things will have consequences that you might not have intended for this girl never to have children again at only 19 or 20 years old. But words have power. And if you think you go through your whole life and these things are just coincidences, you have to think again. Your words do have power, and that's part of it. If you talk to most people, they might think you're crazy for believing that your words actually have that kind of power. But I believe it because it happens. And I think that's where we get into the physical world and the spiritual world, where a lot of people don't actually believe in these things. So they feel silly having that type of faith or belief in themselves and in their higher power. And then nothing happens when they speak these things out loud, or they try to make an impact or a change, and it doesn't happen because they didn't have that faith or belief. And I think that's why they say young children can still see things and hear things that we can't, because they still have that innocence and they have that belief. They have no reason to question or doubt. And as we get older and adults, we lose some of that. So, remember that. And there was one more story I wanted to tell you. And usually this has to do with people messing with me. I don't go out searching for people to affect or to mess with. And there was another girl who, she just didn't like me for some reason. She was spreading rumors about me. Da 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 da. It kind of escalated. Well, long story short, let me get to the other part. It got to the point where I was, and this is me super young, I was gonna go out to the club, look for where she parked, and I was gonna like cut her cars up. I had me and my girls. I was gonna cut her, slice her tires. I was gonna do this. I'm like, all right, I got you. I got your number. You want to fight. You want to have this beef with me. Da 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 da. So I ended up going to the club that night. For some reason, and I can't remember why, I didn't end up doing it. I ended up going back home. We did not mess with her stuff, and we let it be. I swear, not even 2 days later, my friend that went with me to do this came to me and was like, did you hear what happened? Da 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 da. She got her car sliced and her leather was cut, her glass was broken, all her tires were. I'm like, no. She's like, did you do that? I know you did it because we were gonna do it the other night and we didn't do it. Da da da. I know you did it. I didn't do it. I swore. And at that point, there were people coming to me because they knew that we had like beef, thinking that I did it. And it was to the point where I was like, did I black out and do it? Because everybody swore it was me. But I knew I did not do it. I know I went nowhere near her car. So I said no. So obviously, clearly, she had other enemies. And whatever it was enough to, like I said, some of these people have karma coming back to them. They have what they've done come back to get them. But at the same time, don't think my actions, my words didn't click in somebody's head like, hey, let's go take care of this. So it was taken care of. I never had any police or anyone ask me any other questions, and the whole thing was squashed. She never messed with me again. But again, words have power. So whatever was out there, whatever bird took what I said and brought it to the other person, they took care of it. Sometimes it takes patience because it doesn't happen automatically. Just like we would say the creation of the world, if you believed that God spoke it and it came to creation, but it took this and that to come together to create it, sometimes things have to be lined up. It just doesn't happen like that. So sometimes you have to wait for the right guy to be in the right place, or the right girl to be over here, or at the right spot where you're gonna come. Like it, everything has to be lined up. So have patience. That's probably the hardest part for clients and for myself sometimes, is the patience it takes for things to line up. Because think about it, you're talking about people's lives and what they're doing and their wills. So, again, the more you practice, the faster, the better you'll get, and the faster things will manifest. Have faith in yourself and believe in your own power and belief. And believe in yourself and your higher power. You have to take this. They say God created the world, he spoke it into existence. That's how powerful our words are as well, if we believe that we were created by our higher power. And if you go into the Bible and you look at a lot of the prophets, like Ezekiel, there's this passage that I love about the valley of the dry bones, where God basically tells Ezekiel, this amazing prophet, to go and look at this valley that had tons of dry bones in it and speak to those bones. And the bones will, like, he'll put breath into them and skin on them and ligaments. And it was just by him speaking, literally, these bones that have been dry and sitting in that valley for that long will actually come to life. So look for different stories like that to help your belief, to help you believe in yourself, and to realize what amazing creatures we are. And we really aren't using all of our potential. We have so much within us to give to others and to make happen for ourselves. We just need to know that we can do it and not give up. Continue to practice, continue to believe in yourself, and it will happen. So I wanted to share this with you. Also, for some reason, I think it might be easier to have. I'm an uh, I'm an air sign. Well, I'm air and water, but air, mostly air. And if you, it, I for some reason think it might be easier, because being an air sign, because of our words and our connection with air. But I think anybody can do this. It's not just that element. I just think it might be a little easier, a little more natural for air elements. But, anyways, I wanted to share this with you guys. There's a lot I can talk about on this, but I wanted to keep it relatively short and come on and share with you guys and see how you guys were doing. I do miss talking with you guys. So if you have any questions, if you want to hear anything specific, just comment down below, and I will do my best to try to address whatever your questions are. So please like and subscribe if you haven't already. I appreciate you guys watching, and I'll be back with more. I'm going to try to post more regularly. So anyways, thank you for watching. Bye.